What's going on, guys? Nick from Comic Culture here. It's time for Nick at Night, my weekly comic book review show. If you want to get caught up on some of these books, I'll have links down below in the description. It's a great way to help support the channel and use the discount code to save some cash. Let's kick things off in DC with Absolute Batman. We have issue number 22. Of course, we got our Scott Snyder on the writing. We have a guest artist on this, though. We have Del Edier on this one, which is a familiar name over on the Something is Killing the Children universe and other things, so we're going to expect a little bit of a different tone change for this issue, and it works really well. And it works really well because it's an emotional story about Harley's origin story. So we get to dive back into her childhood, get to see what her parents were up to, get to know who her mom was, what kind of role she played in Gotham in general. We also get a hint as to who the father is, and we get some big reveals in that issue as well. And it's really cool how they tie all that stuff back together with the lore that we've built so far around Absolute Batman and Gotham in general. Now, they don't just go about in a lazy way of telling us this origin story. They weave it into a scene where her and Batman are teaming up right now to infiltrate some space or to get away from the Robins that are chasing him throughout the city. So they weave in this origin story through a narrative format while doing that at the same time. So it brings that energy to the comic as well. We don't get a ton of the Robins inside the issue, but we do get to see them from time to time, and we get to get a little taste of their personalities as we go, as they're hunting down Batman through the city. But this issue is truly all about Harley and her conversation with Batman at the same time. Like, she knows where this could go. She has a lot of trauma in her backstory, and so she's trying to educate Bruce on this fact, but he's just not listening to her at all. It ends up creating quite a big rift between the two characters, and they're kind of splitting ways towards the end of this. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go from there and if they can reconcile and get things back together, or are they going to go their separate ways here going forward? It's going to be interesting to see where we go from here. I got to say, I had a lot of high hopes for this issue. I was very interested in Harley, the character itself, and the origin story behind the character, and I think it delivered on all of that. Next up is Absolute Catwoman issue number 2. We have Scott Snyder doing this one with Shea Grayson co-writing it. Now, I didn't love issue number 1. I thought the artistic style was really cool. I liked the scenery, I liked the character designs and things like that, but I didn't quite jive with the story itself. A lot of time jumps in that thing. It was kind of giving me whiplash as I was going through the issue. This one certainly has a couple moments where it goes back in time, but it mainly tells you the story of the Calico crew. We have Selina, we have Holly, we have everybody else that was joining them, and we get a little introduction to all those people and the different roles they played in their unit. Now we're going to fast forward to the present day. We have this mysterious orb that Selina has that Molly gave her, and so we're trying to figure out what it is. And instead of doing some kind of research, some kind of analysis, which I guess we do at some point, we offer it up on an auction to see who's going to pay an insane amount of money for it. Of course, there's a shady underground auction scene that we infiltrate, and we're trying to see who the highest bidder is, and we get some blasts from the past doing so. We do get to see who was in the big reveal towards the end of issue number 1 again inside this issue, and we get a little bit of a battle there as well. But I gotta tell you, this series certainly feels like a YA title. It doesn't feel like the Selina Kyle we have in Absolute Batman, maybe barely from an aesthetic point of view, but the way that Nick Dragotta is drawing her inside of Absolute Batman, or has drawn her through the Abomination arc, it's like two different characters. So the style and the art is certainly pulling me out of the character that I know from that series, and I was trying to pull forward whatever I learned about that character from Absolute Batman into this one, and it's not aligning for me. And it really feels disconnected from the Absolute world in general. There's not a whole lot of connective tissue just yet between these two worlds, other than it's a new kind of an origin story, and we're just supposed to take it for granted that it's the same character being pulled forward. But it's not working for me. I don't believe this is the same character. It doesn't sound like it. It doesn't feel like it. It doesn't look like it. So I feel like, maybe they could have done a little bit more to keep some kind of, like cohesion between the two stories. Not entirely sure what's going on here. Next up is Bleeding Hearts issue number 6. Of course, we have Dennis Camp and we have Morian on the art. Matt Hollingsworth also doing some incredible color work inside this issue. And of course, we have Haas doing the letterings. It's practically the best people doing it right now, all on the same comic. We had some really emotional beats in the last couple of issues. Our human team has been split up. Presumably the mother was killed in the previous issue. We learned a little bit more about that in this one. We have Rabbit, who's on the escape right now, making some friends with the remaining human group inside of this mall. They basically have been let loose, and the hunt has begun with the different zombies trying to chase them through this environment. So a lot of interesting high stakes at play there. But you also have Mush and Poke, the two zombie characters that we were introduced to very early on, that best friend, that unit that we were introduced to early on. We're having that relationship tested, especially throughout this issue. There's a lot of interesting emotional beats throughout the entire story. You can certainly see where the conversation might be going, some of the analogs, some of the real world utilization of those kinds of conversations. Insert those emotions and those experiences into these conversations, and you get so far with it. But I feel like they pulled out some of the essences of those kinds of difficult conversations, and they've represented them very well inside this comic in their own way. The artwork and the aesthetic and the coloring and everything is absolutely fantastic. It's one of the best looking books on the shelf. This particular issue is reuniting some of our heroes that we've met in the previous issues. And so it's really cool to get our unit back together. There's some sacrifice plays being done here and some gnarly monster zombies that we've never seen before in this issue as well. So it's doing its perfect job of creating this unique zombie story, introducing new ways to look at the situation between the humans and the zombies and the evolution of those relationships. And it's just doing things that we haven't seen before inside of zombie genre, or at least I haven't. Next up is Clayface Celebrity Dirt issue number 1 with a creative team I'm not very familiar with. Now, Clayface himself has been making some headlines with the new movie coming out in the next few months from the new DC universe, but there is also a great comic that came out a couple of years ago, the One Bad Day series. There's a really cool Clayface one in there that I would highly recommend checking out. This one, though, is really interesting. It's taking the idea of Clayface himself. It's bringing us back down to the origin story somewhat of that character, but it's also playing with who the real Clayface really is. Like, is it a mixture of all the different people that have been Clayfaced in the past? And if you're not too familiar with that character, there has been many people playing the Clayface persona over the last several years. So it does play with that a little bit. Like, there's a little bit of an identity crisis throughout this entire story. But I think what really makes this comic work is just the ambiguity about that, but also the artistic quality of the book. There's some great usage of body horror scattered throughout this book. Like, it feels like a horror type of a comic, although it has an aesthetic which is a little bit more poppy and cartoony, but those moments really shine when they're done right. Now, this is a character who's having, again, a little bit of an identity crisis, who's escaped from Arkham Asylum just recently. He's reading some of the headlines, seeing some of the news stories, trying to reacclimate himself back to being a free man. And so, he's abusive. He's got this ability within inside of him. He's using people, and he's, getting back into trouble again. I really enjoy the inner monologue. I like the character's perspective in this story. Again, the artistic quality and the body horror that they use. It was to really great effect. So I really like the package we put together here. The only complaint I have of this entire comic is the last 2 pages were completely a mystery to me. I did not understand that conversation that happened. So go down below in the comments and fill me in. All right, next up is Daredevil issue number 4. We have Stephanie Phillips on this one, and we have Lee Garbert doing the art. This was really a disappointing issue for me. There's really no change in the story, the revelations, the answers. There's just as many questions as there was in issue number 1. We don't know how to tackle this new villain that everyone makes fun of Daredevil for naming the way that he named him, which I thought was interesting. There's this weird existential threat that Matt now has with this villain existing, and there's not really a big villain threat. He can basically find this guy whenever he needs to at this point, somewhat formidable against him hand to hand, but there is a little bit of an unpredictability that we have to deal with in here. But there's no real big threat, I don't think, to this villain just yet. Even though he's going around killing people, he just doesn't feel like a big deal, and apparently he is. This issue focuses a lot on Detective Forte, who's not a very interesting character. He's trying to understand this murder mystery. Somebody's going around the city ripping out people's eyes. We know the answer to that, and it wasn't too hard to guess throughout the series so far who that could have been. But he comes across as kind of an annoying character. We don't really want to root for this guy. He's got some issues. He's kind of narcissistic. He's a know-it-all. He doesn't want to accept help. He is he's stuck. He's really stressed out. He can't crack the case, but man, I can't resonate with him either. So there's no one in this entire story that I just want to win. I feel like he's not a very enjoyable character. I don't want to be on his side. He has some supporting detective cast members I don't really care too much about. We have a potential love interest that kind of pops in and out of the entire story. Then we have Matt, who's acting, I don't know, strangely underprepared for this average threat that's in front of him. And that's not very inspiring either. And I think what also doesn't help is I feel like the art's a little bit too static. I don't feel like there's any energy. There's no kinetic quality about it at all. Even in some of the fight scenes, I don't really feel the motion on the page. There's no speed lines. There's no kinetic ability about it. And I think that that's kind of, we're missing the mark here. This is a very fast-paced, action-packed kind of a character. Lots of hand-to-hand combat and zipping around and stuff. And I just don't feel that movement on the page. I guess at the end of the day, I just want some more energy on the page, and I want somebody in the story that I can root for. There's not really that many people that I want to succeed, unfortunately, right now. But I don't want to go on too long. Let me know how you guys are enjoying this series down below in the comments. All right, next up is Die Loaded, issue number 7 from Image Comics. We have Kieran Gillen on this one and Stephanie Hans doing the art. I find this book very difficult to talk about and to review in general. I will say that it's another brilliant issue of Die Loaded. Why is it so good? It's hard to talk about. It's really reliant on the past volume number 1 of the series, and then of course Die Loaded, the second volume of this, I suppose. So it really depends on your familiarity with that if you're going to enjoy any of this stuff at all. And it's not necessarily like the big action scenes. It's this inner monologue. It's this drama. It's these characters realizing where they are, the different deals they have to make, the different characters they have to involve themselves with. Like, the situation is constantly fluid. Like, their ability to escape this place is ever changing, and new people are coming and going in and out of this group constantly, and they're just having to deal with all that drama. Like, it should be easy to get everybody together and get out of Jumanji, in other words, right? But it's just not that straightforward, and we learn all about all the roadblocks that we go through issue to issue. So again, it's just an extremely emotional story. It's beautifully drawn. It's beautifully written. I think the pacing is great inside this book. It would read really well as a trade because there's so many things to remember throughout this series. The single issue experience is fun, but I feel like I miss a little bit of the story from month to month. So if you want to, go ahead and save it up and read it all one big bang. I'm going to be reading it month to month still because I have a love for the series in general, but it's a hard book to talk about, but it's well worth your time, I think. All right, let's talk about Speed Racer issue number 10. Of course, we have David Papose on this one, and we have Tinto doing the art. I'm really enjoying a lot of things about this book. It has many different elements to it that are just working on all cylinders, pun intended. First, the artistic quality from Tinto, taking us from racetrack to racetrack. We're in a volcano at the end of this one. We're racing through with these insane cars and their abilities and just their go-go gadgetness of them. It's really cool to see the scenery change as much as it does. We're keeping all of our cast in check, and we're having our family unit cheering us on, and we have these quiet moments in the garage and stuff. So the scenery, the environment, the characters, the cars, the action, the kinetic ability of this comic is perfect, I think. And the emotional beats are there too. We obviously have this very tight family unit that's growing. We have this mystery behind Racer X still in this series. And I'm wondering when we're going to close that loop, if we are at all. But I'm really enjoying just that mystery lingering there for a little while longer. You as the reader know what's going on, but the characters quite haven't figured it out yet. That's kind of a fun place to be. But you know, Speed was impacted by this gas in the previous issue, this kind of like hybrid drug / fuel that one of these gangs was using. He's still coming down off of that. He needs to be reoriented as to like what's important to him and whatnot. And so a lot of people are trying to help in that effort, Racer X and Trixie being some of those people. This drug compound made Speed extremely violent and dangerous and unpredictable, which is not a great mindset to be in when you're doing these races practically to the death, especially in this one because you're racing on top of a active volcano with lava spewing everywhere. But of course, at the end of the day, it's all about the family unit. It's all about trusting each other, and it's about winning the day and defeating the bad guy at the end of the story. And so that's where we get inside of this. What I really love about the pacing of this, though, is it feels like we have these really small but meaningful bite-sized chunks of stories, a couple of issues long. It keeps things fresh. It keeps things rolling. It keeps the scenery changing. And it keeps pulling our attention in different directions, which is really great. I love the pacing of this comic. All right, next up is Fury of Firestorm. We have issue number 4, DC Comics. And of course, this is from Jeff Lemire and Rafael De La Torre. This issue is kind of a step back issue, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I like additional context on the characters and how they came to be, the people responsible for them, and just trying to own up to your mistakes. That's what this issue is all about. We really don't get a lot of action from the Firestorm persona themselves inside of this issue. Rather, we have the professor kind of going back in time and telling an origin story of him and people like him trying to develop new, I don't know, superheroes for the US government and how everyone was kind of like in an arms race to achieve those types of things. And a lot of people spun out of those programs, like the people inside of this issue. So we're having to deal with the demons of the past in this comic. And that's really all that happens in this one. Now, there's a lot of revelations that happen through the conversations and through some of the flashback scenes, but there's no real battle with like the Justice League. If you're hoping to see Batman take on Firestorm with everybody else, you don't get that inside this issue, but it's coming up. We have a plan to take on Firestorm, so we're going to see if that works in the next issue. All right, next up is The Seasons. We have issue number 11, Paul Ezeketa on the art, and we have Rick Remender on the writing. Now, this was a huge exposition dump and a retrospective tale on the family unit of the seasons themselves, who they are, the different representations of them, how they came to be with this evil unit that grew among them, and how it was treated throughout the, I don't know, millennia, whatever it might be. And I'm really surprised we didn't get this issue sooner. It's issue number 11, and we never really had time to sit down and think of, like, is the spring really spring? Is summer really summer? Are these avatars for these seasons, or are they just named after them and take on, I don't know, some qualities of those seasons based on, I don't know, just being named them? It's kind of been an open question so far, but we've kind of like lay that all to bed and put it to rest in this issue. So coming out of this issue, we fully understand everything about the season, the family unit, who this enemy is, and what we're really up against. So that was a really cool thing to do inside this. I'm just shocked we did it in issue number 11. I'm surprised that wasn't like an issue 3 or 4 kind of a thing. I was expecting it back then, but I'm glad we eventually got it, and we got it in issue number 11. All right, we're dragged back into the Twilight Zone because Junie Ba is on issue number 9. This was a really interesting story. There's certainly a lot of layers to it. I have my mind set on a particular like metaphor, so to speak, as this issue was going through. It slightly changed throughout the issue, but it kind of came back full circle towards the end. But I'm really interested to see, like, what did you guys take away from the issue in general? The world, as I understand it, is basically set up like this. We have these towns that are coastal towns. We have the men of those cities coming out into the water. They're doing these deep dives, these like snorkel dives to the very bottom of these, I don't know, the sea, the river, whatever it might be, with these giant pails. They're pulling up the sediment that is laid down at the bottom of the ocean, the bottom of the body of water, whatever it might be. They're harvesting it all day long, from the beginning of the day all the way to the night. They're returning back to their town and they're depositing that, and that is somehow used, transformed into building materials and advancing the civilization on land. And they basically rinse and repeat this their entire lives. There's a lot of narration from the fisherman type character. Every time he goes back to shore, he doesn't quite recognize it. It's advanced beyond his belief. The children are now middle-aged, or they're grown, taking over the responsibilities of the elders. Their family units are changing, but they keep having to get drawn back into the sea to do their job over and over and over again. So it kind of resembles, like, you know, the guy going off to work and working all the time and coming back home to a family he doesn't quite recognize anymore. Now, that metaphor evolves over time, which is really cool. So it's not just one thing. It's a bunch of different things. So I really do enjoy, they're messing around and playing with your expectations a little bit as the story progresses. It's a very beautiful story. There's a cool message at the end. There's a really great vibe. There's this element of just sacrificing for your culture that is represented here. And I thought the artistic ability of Junie Ba really accentuated that too. I really like the, I don't know, like the sludging through the water and through the sand vibe this story gives you. So I had a great time with this one. Probably my favorite Twilight Zone book that's come out. Doesn't quite feel like a Twilight Zone book. It's more, it's something else. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't remind me of sitting down watching the Twilight Zone when I was a kid, watching those reruns back in the day. It doesn't give me that idea, but at the same time, it made me think. It made me, you know, contemplate some things. So I think mission accomplished from that point of view. All right, with the reviews out of the way, let's go over to League of Comic Geeks, check out the week of July 15th, see what I might be interested in picking up. We have Absolute Green Arrow issue number 3. This is a hot seat book for me. It needs to be kicking it up. It's got to grab my attention. Hasn't done it yet. We'll see if issue number 3 can do it. As we continue on, Battle Beast issue number 11, one of my favorite books on the shelf. Man, it's so good. I love this Battle with Conquest. Can't wait to see more of that. We have Avengers Armageddon issue number 2. I actually liked issue number 1 a lot. It wasn't super original, but I had a good time with it. It's better than your average Marvel book, which doesn't say a lot, but I'm digging a Marvel book, which is a cool thing. We have G.I. Joe issue number 24. I love G.I. Joe, solid series. Immortal Hulk issue number 9. I'm hanging on. I've read all the issues so far, so why not continue that one? We have Deathstroke to Terminator issue number 5, one of my favorite books on the shelf right now. I'm super excited for issue number 5. Batwoman number 4 may have been the best issue we've got so far, but it really didn't surprise me. A lot of the revelations, a lot of the questions were answered, but I kind of already knew the answers going into the issue because they're right there in front of you. So we'll see if issue number 5, you know, makes the world a little bit more mysterious and pushes the story forward some more. Lobo number 5 hasn't grasped me quite yet. I mean, artistically it's brilliant, but the story itself, there hasn't been a lot of, you know, narrative hook there. So we'll see what issue number 5 has for us. We have the return of Crisis, Assorted Crisis Events, rather, issue number 9, one of my favorite titles of the year. I'm very excited for that to come back. We have Dork number 6, pretty cool, just, you know, insane journey with Dork and our mysterious crew here traveling the hazardous lands and dealing with all kinds of weird monsters and witches and everything else. We have Catwoman number 89, very underrated DC book, I think. 89. A lot of great legacy with this character, with this run in general. Really great creative team on it, spectacular covers and everything. So really anxious to get into Catwoman 89. If Destruction Be Our Lot number 3, a very weird storytelling methodology here. There's no real antagonist, so to speak, inside the story just yet. We're just kind of, seeing a day in the life of this character having to go through the system and not be disassembled, right? I'm contemplating reading Dark Knights of Steel, I guess, 2, number 1. I read the winter volume that came out prior to this one, and I really enjoyed that. I might dip into this and see if it's something I want to read, but there's a lot of books this week, so we might not get to it. We have Of the Earth issue number 3. I got a feeling that this series might not do it for me. I'm not entirely sure. I'll read issue number 3 and see what my opinions are after that. Continuing down, though, we have Savage Sword of Conan, issue number 15. Everything Savage Sword and Conan proper, I'm eating up, man. So I'm going to be getting this one and enjoying the hell out of it for sure. We have Space Ghost Annual, issue number 1. Popose is a friend of the show. We've had him on many times. Absolutely love everything he does inside of Space Ghost. Everything he's doing in The Oz, which is a Kickstarter that just got funded recently, and I cannot wait to get my hands on that last issue. He's doing a fantastic job over on Speed Racer. He did a great job on Captain Planet. Everything this guy touches is gold, and I cannot wait for the annual, one of the best comics on the shelf right now. Continuing down forward, I don't think I'm reading anything across the row here. I did pick up Mischief and Magpies issue number 1 from Distillery. It's on my list at least. So we're going to see Cy Spurrier is on this one. We have Bergara on the art. Certainly a great creative team. I hope this is a brilliant book. It's got a lot of potential, so we'll see what the execution is like on that. We have the return of Something Epic issue number 13. I'm really excited about this one. Simon Kodransky is one of my favorite writers and artists out there. He's spectacular. I wish this guy all the success and cannot wait for more from him. We have Dungeon Crawler Carl Special Edition number 0. $9.99 price point for a cover A and $15 foil variants. It's insane, but hey, the problem is me. I'm definitely picking one up, maybe even 2 or 3, in fact. As we continue down, we have some other books. I'm getting Minotaur issue number 1. Again, another Cy Spurrier Ignition Press book. So that's a really cool opportunity for Ignition Press to get some really cool, good names on their brand. We have Megalith, the Olympus Saga 0. I don't know if I ordered this one, but I am really digging this series. We should be on issue 3 or 4 at this point. Not too sure what the issue 0 is. Maybe we're just going to get an origin issue. Who knows? We have Arcadia issue number 6. I'm enjoying this series so far. I kind of need it to go somewhere. It's kind of weighing on me a little bit. So we'll see what issue number 6 has in store for us. And if this is the end of volume number 1, it might be a good place to jump on or jump off, depending on your perspective. And then let me take a peek at the rest of the comics coming out. I don't know if I'm getting much else towards the bottom here. That might wrap it up. I might be getting American Nature issue number 4. I'm not too sure. These typically just go right on my shelf. I just like supporting Floating World and the creative team on this, but I don't necessarily sit down and read those books. So I think that's about it for me. Let me know down below in the comments what you're picking up, what your most anticipated books of the week are. But all right, guys, that's what I read this week. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, if you want to get caught up on these books, I'll have links down below in the description with a discount code as well. But as always, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share, hit that bell notification to be alerted whenever I put out new videos. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the comments.